And the first one's name is illegible, but I understand from a good source that it's Jim Cooling.
Better than you.
You know, stories are everywhere. You know, and if you're looking for them, there's wonderful opportunities. We were sitting in Stratford, Ontario, at a wonderful summer evening concert as twilight fell, and they have a wonderful brass band there in Stratford. And as I was looking several rows ahead to the right, there was a gentleman sitting there, and he had about the bearing of a man who'd been in the military. I could see a squareness to his shoulders. Something about him, I could just see it. And I was kind of drawn to that, and I was watching him. And the band was going to play an all brass piece. And as they hit the notes, I watched him. And here's what happened. The notes, it went, and you could just see him, and it went da da dum da 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 da, and he faded. He looked back, and he went somewhere. Da 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 dum da 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 dee da dee da dee, and he was gone. He was gone somewhere. And when the piece finished and the concert ended, I went and I said, "Where did you go when you hit those notes? I could see you traveling somewhere in the 50s. He said, "Oh, I used to play the horn." And all it took was those 3 notes, and off he went somewhere, you know. Da-da, dum, and he was gone. So look for those stories. They're there. I'd like to read you Grandpa's Loft with me. Deep in the corner of the old barn is a simple wooden ladder. It is a withered wooden shaft to summer dreams. Climb slowly upward and you can feel each board as it bites into your red ball Jets tennis shoes. Up into Grandpa's loft you go. Each end of the nearly empty room has a huge window covered with a screen, and there's a mattress lying in front of the one nearest the lake. Many years ago, this gray weathered small barn was a cook shack for a lumber camp. Mountains of flapjacks and huge mounds of potatoes and gravy so thick you had to cut it with a fork were cooked for the shanty boys just below where you are now sitting. And when the white pine played out, great-grandpa George Alfred and his wife Louisa bought this place from Old Man Woolley. Grandpa said Old Man Woolley left a fortune buried in a Prince Albert can somewhere on the property. The cook shack became a barn, and the log bunkhouse became a boyhood home for Grandpa. They tried to farm between the stumps and raise 9 children. The land was so sandy it wouldn't even grow an argument. The farm work came to naught. But Grandpa and the barn, they survived the years the wolves pulled down, the Great Depression and the wars that rocked the world. And now the barn is a summer home for grandchildren, a refuge for Grandpa from Grandma, and a year-round home to several blue racer snakes, 24 red squirrels, and a huge hissing possum who lives beneath the back bedroom floor. Oh, lay out your bunk, your sleeping bag on the mattress, and when your head hits the pillow, you can see the Milky Way, stars, and the planets spin round the night sky. The sweet smells of summer float through the screen, drift over your head. New-mown grass, dew, the lake, and the promise of tomorrow, which is a smell known only for the young at heart. Summer nights in the loft are a symphony, a feast of voices. The far-off sound of an owl calling, hoo, 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 hoo. 10 million mosquitoes buzz around the screen, and you can laugh at them, smug behind your protective device. The frogs of all variety call from the lake, their voices hitting every note known to man. The little ones shrill like tin bells, and the bullfrogs add their borum, borum, borum to the chorus. And the whippoorwill sings from adding down by the chokecherry tree near the woods. The screen door slams as Grandpa comes in from sneaking a Lucky Strike cigarette in the outhouse. And he's humming, "Come away with me, Lucille, in my..." And somewhere You hear him filling up the coffee pot. Comes to rest on the wood stove, and in the space between sleep and dreams, his leather boots creak, and the sound of a Reader's Digest page being slowly turned are the final notes to the summer night's orchestral suite in the key of sweet dreams. Somewhere in the night you wake up and you smell the morning fog roll off the lake. You miss the sound of frogs croaking, hear the robin singing, and you pull the sleeping bag up higher and drift off again. The sound of the screen door slamming serves as an alarm clock. Wood smoke, bacon, fried potatoes, and fresh bluegills are being cooked on the barbecue made of used bricks in the backyard. Grandpa has on his battered straw hat, a blue denim coat complete with holes, and a workroom pair of overalls and leather boots, which he said been around since Wink was a pup. And on the back of the fire, coffee's bubbling in an old pot which has several spots knocked off. Grandpa's humming a tune to Minnie the Mermaid. It's a little ditty that always makes Grandma sit up and say, "Now, George, you know that's not a nice song." Well, Grandma's not here this morning to tell him what to sing, and he's a happy man. Summer is stretched out in front of him like a friendly road. It's June, and the fish are biting. School is out, and the grandkids are here for the summer. The garden is waiting to be planted, and he can spend the whole summer at the cabin. Grandma Helen's only going to bother him on the weekends. As the sun slides over the trees, you rise and you find your socks and shoes and blue jeans, and the growl of your stomach tells you it's time to eat. And moving down the ladder, your tennis shoes find the wooden rung smoothly. Grandpa pours the coffee, raises his cup, and looks over the rim and smiles. He turns his head and scans his woods. His curly white hair sticks out from underneath his straw hat. The sun and work and worry and care have etched his face, and the deeply furrowed laugh lines round his blue eyes look like spokes in a bike's wheel. Grandpa's hand curled around the coffee cup, deep blue veined, scarred and lined. These same hands had swabbed decks on merchant marine ships. They gripped cross-country cross-cut saws that cut timber in Oregon, dug ditches through the dark years of the 30s, and many times worked 18 hours a day building machines that helped win the Second World War. Grandpa George said we were made of some good stuff. Less than 100 years earlier in a dusty Pennsylvania crossroads named Gettysburg, his great-grandfather Packard was one of only 26 men from the Iron Brigade to answer the roll call after the first day's battle. They'd held the high ground, been nearly wiped out, but they'd turned the Confederates back with sheer grit and courage. And the memory of all these trials was still fresh in Grandpa's eyes. Turning back to look at you, he salutes you with a cup and he says, "Don't get any better than this, boys. Don't get any better than this." The years have passed and I've spent the night in posh hotels where they deliver the morning paper on a silver tray with little chocolates, where the majesty of great cities fill the windows of the hotel room and important people discuss vast ideas. But I would trade it all for one more chance to fill my tin cup from the battered coffee pot with the patches of enamel knocked off. I would love to sleep again in Grandpa's loft and listen to one more chorus of "Come Away With Me, Lucille," being sung to the accompaniment of creaking leather boots and the slamming of the old screen door. Grandpa George was right. Don't get any better than this, boys. Don't get any better than this.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, Mary Cooling, are you any relation to Jim?
Yes. I'm a lot shorter than Jim, I think, and I don't know how to do this. I would like to tell you that I signed in third, but somehow I'm up here second, so okay, here we go. Life Between the Bridges is a poem that I wrote. I'm living near the International and the Mackinac in the prettiest peninsula you ever saw. Looking at the bridges, I think of bridges of my life, pathways to peace during times of strife. I built bridges as a mother and as a wife. Bridges strong enough to span my life, bridges as a daughter and as a niece, bridges of compassion and bridges of peace. Bridges as a cousin and as a friend, bridges of hope, relationships to mend, bridges of love and of joy. I'm building up my bridges, not tearing down to destroy. Bridges join the generations, Bridges span the miles. Bridges bring adventures. Adventures might bring smiles. Please go out and cross the bridges. Build them in your mind. Bridges to span water, relationship, and time. Now I'm going to read you a little story I wrote. I have 6 children, and this one is about my son, Orion. Recently, I was asked to join a writers group. The huge question was, why? Am I a writer? I don't think of myself in that way. Storytelling, I do. How can I help but tell stories when I'm the mom of 6 amazing kids? There's much to tell. Long ago, I asked my friend Maxine the question, why are there carrots in the bathtub? She replied, that should be the title of your book someday. What book? Now, I still do not know why there were carrots in the bathtub, but then there are many things I still do not know. For instance, when the phone rings at 11 p.m. and the voice on the other end, son, Orion, says, Mom, give me Dad, quick! This is not good news. It is bad. I knew this. Then I hear that the car is overheated. Not so bad. This car is the old station wagon that I declared that very evening I would never drive again. Turns out I was right. I did not know this. Next I hear, the firemen are here! Click! What? Where? Orion has not told us the details. Orion has never been good with details. Once he told us that he was not hungry. That is another story. Let us return to the station wagon and the firemen. The phone rings again. I hear Orion's voice. Dad, have you ever seen a car blow up like in the movies? It's cool. I did not know this. Hey, Dad, where do you want the rest of the car hauled to? Now, maybe you don't believe in angels, but I do. Coming home, Orion had pulled over to check the car because the warning light came on. The car was already in flames. This is an 8-passenger car, usually filled to the max with teens. No one was in it when it exploded. All that was left of it was the spare tire and the frame. It happened to the right kid, Orion, the one who thought it was cool. Isn't that cool? I told you earlier that once Orion was not hungry. Orion was not hungry? What? He was born hungry. Just bring on the chow was his motto at birth. He woke us every morning. Like the tiger in Winnie the Pooh, he would say, I'm hungry. One morning, he bounced in saying, I'm not hungry. Jim asked me, what is that all over Orion's face? Bright red was smeared everywhere. Oh no, Orion had found the cherry pie. A special homemade cherry pie. A pie made as a gift for Orion's grandpa's birthday. A pie made from cherries we had picked off the tree, pitted, crafted, and baked ourselves. This little guy, maybe 3 years old, had eaten the whole inside of the pie himself. The whole thing. What did his grandpa get? He got a picture of the pie crust. Orion had not lied. He was not hungry.
Happy birthday, Grandpa. Oh, wonderful. Follow that one, Frank. Really?
I'll do my best. I've got a couple poems here. The first one is an older one. And actually, I decided just a little bit ago to read this because of all of your wolf imagery and such. We have a dog who's often mistaken for a wolf. And this came from a dream where he's quite a clumsy dog, and I had a dream that he was in a tree, and when I woke up I thought if he was in a tree he wouldn't be up in the tree for long. So this is called Fall into Summer. This is the story of Ranger, the tree-climbing, long-haired German Shepherd dog who liked to lounge warm days away high above the ground. A gnarled oak, bent by storm when young and still supple, was easy egress from the land into the sky he loved. With green, green summer somewhere below and the blue of life all around, the world was soon a forgotten realm as Ranger rose into dream. No longer to recall running past pain after a van that sped down the road, nor any thoughts of those long gone times with the confusion and questions they left. Peaceful dream float to dream, like gentle breeze that tickles the ear of a dog, and joy found its way with sudden kick clear through the dreamer's fog. One can imagine the surprise of the Girl Scout who, hearing a sudden thump, turned round to see the shaggy head of a giant German Shepherd dog. Or imagine suddenly seeing green all around where once all had been blue, and being greeted with a cookie from the hand of a dumbfounded angel. And this one is first draft. It's not yet in there, so.
Oh, I see.
So we'll see what this one becomes eventually, because it's still pretty rough, and there's a couple spots I know need to be worked on. But here we go. This is more of a winter poem. I should have done this. I should have had this one ready for the
Next year.
Yeah, next year. But it wasn't written yet, so I couldn't have it in our winter storytelling thing. The night stars still stand high with winter. The night stars still stand high with winter dawn to come, and moonshine falling low over footprints tramped to the cow barn. But snow is soon forgot, as steaming hulks of Holstein bump the gates and stanchions and bear their heavy load, and wait and grunt for calloused hands to take the yellowed pressure and leave behind last fall's last grass grown dusty through the winter. And fall's last spider webs, gossamer in the window, gather up the bits of breath the bull snorts from his pen. And he is fed too when all is done, and the door is opened once again, releasing dust and bits of breath to the morning coming sun. The footprints leading from the door, now drifted o'er with snow, will be tramped o'er back to the house, but snow is soon forgot.
Thank you. That was Frank Blissett. And Renee Dreeling is our last poet for the night. Come on up.
And Mary, just a word of explanation about the numbers on the list.
Oh, yeah.
There's not very many math majors in this room tonight.
I was trying. That's going to be later.
I've been working on a poem for my cousin. We've been having a conversation lately. He has a lot of bad things going on in his life, and I told him that he was always the one that I looked to as, Bird of Paradise is just gliding along, and he said, no, Bird of Paradise took crap on me. And, so I wrote him this little poem. It's called Destiny's Egg. I'm just whistling down the Dixie Highway, going wherever my thumb can take me. Even while I think that all the gods are with me, I still feel all alone. You will ask me again and again how I came to be here, but there is no answer. I'm just singing down yonder in a minor key, Woody's song. I fall asleep to a hobo's lullaby. I march to a hobo's marching tune. Someday the angels will sing me a hobo's dirge. You will ask me again and again why we are here, but there will be no answer. There can be no answer. And this is just some little things about animals doing people-type things. Cat dancing. She whirls and twirls and dips her head, constantly in motion to some music in her mind, though a little unsteady on her feet. Dog kissing. Small dogs aren't good for this. You need the tall dogs who stand up and look you in the eye. But beware, they all use their tongues too liberally. Dolphin gossiping. High velocity chatter and laughter, though not unkindly, judging by the smiles on their faces. They share the lowdown on everyone with everyone. The last one is shark schmoozing. Their future uncertain, they seek to improve their public image, using their toothy grins to disarm, beguile, and be well liked in the social network.
Well, thank you very much. I especially like to thank Owen and Neil for being here tonight. We really enjoyed it. Thank you. And I'd like to thank each and every one of our open mic poets tonight. Remember, our next open mic is May 24th. So, and this Saturday is the farmer's market right in this room. So join us. Thank you all very much. Good night.